Welcome to Neurofield 64 Basics. My name is Dr. Nicholas Douglas. I am the CEO and co-founder of Neurofield Incorporated. Today we're going to cover the use of manual control in Neurofield. While there are literally hundreds of protocols that are pre-programmed for you, you have the ability to control each one of the stim units manually. On the left-hand side here, you'll see buttons for various kinds of things you can do. To control the pulse electromagnetic stimulation, you want to be able to control the X3000 units. And I'm actually running two different kinds of X3000s right now, an original X3000 and a X3000 DDS, which is our newest type of X3000. If I pop that window open, what you'll see is on the top row here, you'll see the frequencies. You'll see the voltages on the second row and the type of waveform that it creates on the third row. And then on the fourth row is whether the channels are all enabled or not. And it's real simple. Enter in the frequency that you want to give, set the level, and choose what waveform you want, enable the channel, click on Update Primary, and you will give that frequency at that level with that waveform. So that's how you control the X3000s. To control the Genesis or Z3 units, a little bit more complicated. You got to select a patient, go into this treatment stimulation setup page. You don't need to do anything here. Just simply click on the button that says Manual TCS TACS Control close to the bottom here. Select that, and it'll open up this widget. Now I have two Genesis units hooked up, so you're going to see two drop-down menus at the very top. Here's one, and then here's the second one. All right, now what you're going to notice, each one of these can be commanded to do different things. You can do pulsed square waves, sine waves, or triangle waves. You can do DC stimulation. You can do continuous AC. You can do what's regular white noise, random noise, and then you can do the advanced pink noise. So we're going to start with pulsed. So if I want to choose a pulsed sine wave or a square wave, for instance, I'm going to choose pulse sine, and it's going to open up these tools here. So the first thing you do is select the frequency of the pulse that you want to create. So let's say I want to create a 10 hertz pulse. I just click in there and I enter a 10, or I can actually use the up or down arrows here to change the frequency. Next thing I want to do is set my level. So I can select this, I'm going to click in that box, I'm going to put 2 milliamps in there. Then I tell it how long I want the pulse to actually go for. I can tell it, you know, how many milliseconds essentially I want that pulse to happen. So here it's saying 2,000 milliseconds, and we're saying 2 cycles here. So if we want to, we can increase or decrease the amount of cycles. It's all up to you in the way that you actually do it. I'm going to say 5 pulses, for instance. Now, once I have it set up the way I want to, I click on this button next to the drop-down menu, and it's going right now. Stem on, it's actually something that the person will feel. If you want to see what's actually happening, click on the monitor here. It opens up the monitor, and you'll see the pulse be given every 2 seconds, basically. So this thing, you can set your watch by it. It's pretty good. You can increase or decrease the amount of pulses. That's how you do pulsed. So I'm going to stop the monitor, stop the pulsing right now. And now I'm going to go into the next one, which is continuous DC. DC isn't a frequency. It's simply a streaming electrons from the anode to the cathode. So you just set the level. So this is kind of nice when you want to do something on the fly. But I'll start it at 1 milliamp, for instance. Start it, and I show the actual stimulation. Now, the thing about it, though, is that if I want to increase or decrease it on the fly, I can do that. I just simply click the button, and you'll see it increase in the module in the increments that I'm selecting here. You can also click into the box and then set the pulse to whatever you want. I'm going to set it to 0.25. I'll click Enter, and then there it goes down to 0.25. I could actually make this a negative number and then swing the polarity and bring it into a negative polarity. So DC can be done either way, up to you. So I stop DC, and the next mode is continuous sine wave, or square or triangle, and this is where it just stays on. So you set your frequency, you set your level, start it, look at the monitor, and then it should be humming along at the frequency that you set. And it should be humming along at the frequency I select. Let's make sure it is. Let's set that, set that. There it goes. And there you can see our primary stem at 10 cycles per second at 2 milliamps. And I can change this level on the fly, lower it down as we're going. That's a way that you do what we call ramping. So if you want, you always start low with somebody, sometimes 0.1, 0.2 milliamps, and then you increase as they give them a little time to habituate to the stimulation, and then increase every 10 or 15 seconds, increase again, and you can set the increment in which you increase it. Right now it's at 0.1, so that's a nice gentle increment to increase. But this increment level can be set any way that you want to. I could set it really aggressively if I want to, but I wouldn't do that in practice. All right, so that one's done. So we've done DC. Oh, I'm sorry, we've done DC, and now we've done continuous sine. The next is random noise. So with random noise, you actually set your frequency level. You have 3 different choices, low, medium, and high, and that refers to the strength of the random noise. You can set it from anywhere from 1 to 8,000 hertz, 1 to 8,000 hertz. If I set it to 1,000 here, right, and then I set my level to 2.5 milliamps, I can start it. And now it's going to give random noise at that level. So it's actually creating a random envelope from 0 to 2.5 milliamps to 0 to 1,000 hertz, and populating that entire plot randomly many times per second. All right, so that's random noise, that's white noise. And the last mode is what we call the advanced pink noise, which can only be done with the Genesis. This is where you're actually applying a filter to white noise. It's incredibly effective for a wide variety of different things, but what you want to do is you have to set up your frequency ranges here. So for the high pass setup, you have to think like an engineer and say, okay, everything higher than this number may pass through the filter. That's the way you have to think of it. So here's the numbers. So I can say 1,000. So if I want a high pass of 1,000, I just click to the left here and it sets it. And I go to low pass and I'm going to say, everything lower than this number can pass, and you'll see it goes up to 9,000. I'm going to select 9,000 here. Now I've just selected a 1,000 and 9,000 hertz filter, and if we keep that, then and we divide it by 1, it's still going to be 1,000 and 9,000. But we can divide it by 10 or 100. So if I divide it by 100 here, then the filter is going to be 10 to 90. Now again, depending on the number that you set, you could set a 10 to 20, a 10 to 30, a 10 to 40, a 10 to 100. There's a lot of ranges that you can set here, and it gives you the flexibility of being able to be very specific with the type of filtered noise that you want to put together here. Now once you're satisfied with all your settings, you can select your mode, which is low, medium, or high, and this refers to the power level. So we're going to go with high, and then you click on this button to set all the filters, and it'll set them. And once it's done, OK will turn green, and all these staging filters will turn green at the bottom here. To verify the filter, click on this last tab, and you'll see what was actually loaded, 10 to 90 here, and the configuration was loaded. So once you're happy with that, you can set where you're going to actually place your electrodes, and then you launch it by clicking on the button next to the drop down, click on the monitor, and then you should see it running in full speed. Well, we don't see anything here because our level is set at 0 right here. So I click right over here and I start to increase the power, and you'll see 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, and now the level is getting stronger and stronger as we go along. Ramping up is a good way to get somebody up to significant level. 1.5 and above are usually clinically significant levels that we shoot for. Okay, that's how you use the manual control. Shut it off. You start with the monitor, click on the stem, and it will all be off.